the first actual location, and could be considered the first office even, where he and Huey Newton would talk to the married college students who were like in between classes and would come over to Bobby Seale's house and sit on the lawn, and Huey would talk about the issues of the day. And it was also where he and Huey Newton collaborated and came up with the 10-point program and the founding of our organization in terms of, its logo, which was that leaping Black Panther, etc. So it's a very important location in the formative stages of our Black Panther Party.
If we have the ability to define it, the only next thing to do is get organized.
The breakfast program was conceived in that location on what was then called Grove Street. It would have been our second Black Panther Party office, and it's where some of the organic food people, a group called the Diggers, used to come by and drop off food there. And the people would come and get the food, vegetables, and that transitioned into not just giving people produce, but the idea for the free breakfast for children program. It was conceived in that particular location there on what is now called Martin Luther King, and it's like at 45th and Grove Street. When you see this shattered image, I have an image of it on a newspaper, one of our newspapers. It's where the Oakland police came and riddled that window with automatic gunfire and their pistols, shooting at Huey's image.
You might run a liberator like Harris Cleave out the country, but you can't run liberation out the country. You might murder a freedom fighter like Bobby Hutton, but you can't murder freedom fighters.
Little Bobby Hutton, first of all, was one of the very first members. He was at the very beginning of our party, and he was given the title of treasurer. I think he was then about 15 years old. He was killed when he was 17. He was killed April 6, 1968, at 28th and Magnolia, between Magnolia and Union Street, in the house where I was locked in. He was next door. Him and Eldridge Cleaver trapped in a basement there. The house was set ablaze by the police trying to force these guys out of this basement, garage where they were locked in. They set it on fire and riddled it with over 1,300 rounds shot into that house. Little Bobby Hutton and Cleaver were then forced to come out. Cleaver came out naked with his clothes off. Little Bobby Hutton had taken his shirt off, and the police pushed him and told him to run to the car. And as they pushed him forward, he stumbled. They opened up gunfire, and he was shot. I think there was some 1,900 rounds. So he was killed right there in the driveway on 27th, 28th, and between Magnolia and Union Street. It's a very significant place in our history because little Bobby Hutton was the first to give his life for our freedom struggle.
I think the revolution has always been initiated by the young. The responsibility for the change is upon our shoulders.
Myself and two friends from a youth video program in Oakland had the opportunity to take the Black Panther Legacy tour with one of the party's founding members, David Hilliard. The tour visited a number of unmarked locations in Oakland with historical significance to the Black Panthers. We immediately identified with Hilliard and the values of the party, especially when we discovered they were made up of young people like us fighting for their beliefs. We were disappointed to find that the City of Oakland has done nothing to recognize or preserve the Black Panther's history. Inspired by David Hilliard, the Legacy Tour, and all the history hidden from our school books, we decided to create a documentary that illustrates the stories of three important yet unacknowledged sites integral to the struggle of the Black Panthers.
Through the tour and additional reading I was compelled to do on my own, I learned that the Black Panthers were not the violent group of black supremacists, but an organization of youth that was first and foremost dedicated to self-education, and through education the empowerment of people of color as a whole. So I was still moved by the story of the party, even though I'm not an African American.
Mr. Here said that the system doesn't promote revolutionaries. The Black Panthers were discouraged by the government, but were still able to create change within their own community. Seeing that these young people were just like myself has motivated me to follow the example they set. So in place of plaques and statues, I hope that our documentary will provide information about the history of the Black Panther Party, as well as encourage viewers to learn more on their own.
I think there's important lessons that youth of America can learn from our Black Panther Party, because we were the youth of America and we were able to make tremendous changes and an impact on a global level in a very, very short time. And those things that we worked for, like education, more specifically the police community relations, I think that those are issues that young people can use right now to create new movements. And it's important that they look at our Black Panther Party as a mandate, as somewhat of an example of how they can take control and empower themselves.
It was all a dream, reminiscing about Biggie. This a new generation, my partner slap Biggie. You have to remember the past while it still lasts, but the presence let me see that. We so gifted, kids on the corner, earning diploma, not doped out, all up in a coma. Ain't tryna get lifted, man, they tryna raise their infants. I see it every day, the hood on which I stay is turning out A-okay, and the sun's still shining. Your son one day will be a diamond. Yeah, kings with dreams, similar to Luther, knowing that I shoot ya.